Hey guys, welcome back to our channel Knowledge Keen, and this is your friend Wasim, and today we are gonna see another important concept in React, that is life cycle architecture of React. So now everybody would be confused ki what is life cycle architecture. So basically life cycle architecture is from where React starts, how does it go on while updating your variables, states and all that stuff, and how does it end. So basically into this life cycle architecture we are gonna discuss how React is going to get basically load your whole application into your DOM, and how it is going to update it, how it is going to get unmounted, what are the phases of lifecycle architecture and all that stuff. So this is going to be a very important video, and we are also going to see how we are gonna where exactly we are going to use this lifecycle architectures. This video is going to be definitely important whether you see it or not for our future videos, but these concepts are really important. Okay, so before we dive into all these concepts, I would like you to request to subscribe to our channel and press on the bell icon so that you can receive more updates and more upcoming interesting videos in our React sessions. So before wasting our time, let's go ahead and start. Go to the first page that we usually see, that is our reactjs.org, which is very important. We are still on the version 17.0.2, and let's see how to go more into the lifecycle architecture. Let me just get it started. How you can find this lifecycle architecture? You just need to get started. Initially I was also confused where exactly I was not able to find it. Okay, I was just going through all these details over here, but that is not important. So you just click on the detailed component structure, and here you're gonna find what are the component life cycle structure. Okay, so how your component is going to go through all these phases. You can see we have seen this link before: mounting, updating and unmounting. If you are not gone through our previous video, I would like you to request to click on the link above and go to our previous video. There we have explained what are these phases. Okay, but we are still gonna discuss it in this video, so stay tuned. Before we see most of these steps, okay, most of these phases, let's see where exactly this is being used. This mounting phase, the methods that are given to you here in the first method itself, you can see it's a constructor. In a normal function you usually don't see any constructor, but you see a constructor, you write a constructor when there is a class. So basically you're gonna use these methods in your class based components, not in the functional components. That is really important. Okay, we are gonna simulate all these mounting, updating, unmounting phases in our functional components when we are gonna dig deep into hooks. That's for future, not for now. But you need, before we learn that, you need to have this as a base concept. You need to know how exactly your application resides into your DOM. Okay, what are the phases? So coming back to our original point, the three different life cycles of your three different life cycle architectures of your application, that is mounting phase, updating phase and unmounting phase. So the mounting phase usually occurs before you're mounting your application of the DOM, or exactly to make it in a simpler words, the application, you write some code. Okay, your application, whenever you execute it, your application goes into your virtual DOM, it gets processed, and then it goes into your actual DOM. So it is rendered into your actual DOM, right? So this whole process is your mounting phase. Basically it's the word itself says that you're mounting your virtual DOM or you're mounting your code into your real DOM. Simple. Updating phase, whenever you update something, let's say that on a click of button you update the counter, right? So this is updating phase. What happens? Your whole virtual DOM re-renders and your whole DOM re-renders. So this thing happens, right? And that is nothing but your updating phase. And unmounting phase, so let's say that I have login page and I have a dashboard. So once I do the login, I enter my username, I enter my password, click on the login button, you leave the login page and you jump into dashboard. So leaving the login page is nothing but your unmounting phase. Easy, right? Mounting, loading your page into the DOM, updating your values of the DOM. Let's say that I'm increasing the counter, and that's an updating phase. And unmounting, leaving a component and jumping into some other component, that would be your unmounting phase. Each phase has different methods in it. Okay, I usually call them as phases. So these are the methods. So you're already seeing the page that these are the 4 different methods that you have in mounting phase. That is constructor, that is gonna be default. Whenever you write a class, you always gonna have a constructor, correct? Then you have get derived state from props. Let's click on this and see. This is gonna be a bit of theoretical session. We are gonna see how we can implement this. So get derived state from props, it takes properties from the previous component or from the parent component and state. It does a comparison. So see here, it is invoked right before the render method, both initial and subsequent updates. We are gonna see. It should return an object to update the state or null to update nothing. This is important, okay? So what does it say? Before you mount the phase, it checks, okay? It adds an additional checks whether or not to add the render part, okay? So it just has an additional check. So let's say that you want to do something before the render is called, you can add it into get derived state from props, okay? You can do it over here, you can do it in the constructor, both are fine. So how we can do this? Let me just show it to you, okay? Coming back to our original one, so I just say I have this, I'll probably remove this, I'll add import React from React. Simple. So we are seeing lifecycle hooks, so they are basically in your class-based components. So extends react.component. Simple. We have like constructor, the first method of a mounting phase, just add some console.log constructor, correct? Then we have render, which is another important method. Here you usually return your normal h2 hello world something, okay, h2, oops, and let me add a console over here to see whether exactly I am having a render. And before we do that, let's export default app. So we have some consoles. Let me just quickly do a refresh. Oops, I think we just forgot to call our super props. Let's take some props in the constructor and pass them on. See, simple, right? We have a constructor that is called first, then we have our render. So now coming back to our original page, let me just go here, copy this, and let me just paste it, and let me just simply add console.log, and I don't want to return anything. I'll just return null, and just to print over here, save and refresh, so that it usually refreshes everything. Ignore this because it is just warning me because I have not added a default state to any variable. There is no state in this whole application. That's the reason it is just throwing that warning. But let's ignore it. Can we just filter out the? Nope, it's not a default Chrome tool. And see, I just wanted to show you this. So you have your constructor. Then the second method that is called is your get derived state from props. The third method that is called is render. Last but not the least, the method that we want to see is our, let me just go at the beginning, and in our mounting phase we have our component did mount, and let me add that as well. Even if I write it anywhere into my code, it won't matter anything. I'll just return null because I'm writing a method, so it should return something. That's a good practice. I'll add component did mount. So if I save it, if I quickly refresh it, you're gonna see, let me clear up the warning, or it will continuously just keep screaming. This is dot set state, and in set state, let's say that I have a name which is our favorite knowledge key. Save. I think it should remove the, but it is undefined. Oh man, I'm already doing this. The warning is gone. So irrespective wherever you write this function, the constructor is always called first. Get it derived state from props is always called second. You can do a comparison into this method. This same method you also have it in your updating phase. Okay, updating phase important. Whenever you are updating, this method would be called again, and it will just do a comparison between your previous values, your current values. And we have our render method where you are actually rendering your HTML element or your JSX element into your actual DOM, and component did mount would be called once everything is successfully loaded into your DOM. So these are the 4 basic methods of your mounting phase. Let's go to your updating phase. We are gonna see those 2. Updating phase have usually 5 methods. The first one is get derived state from props that we have already seen. Then we have should component update, very important method. If you come here, see, it lets the React know if your output is affected by any current change in state or props. So it says it usually does if a component's output is not affected by the current change in state or props. The default behavior is to re-render on every state change. So whenever your state value is changed, your whole component would be re-rendered. So now an important question, what is the difference between get derived state from props and should component update? Get derived state from props is invoked right before calling the render method, both the initial mount and subsequent updates. Difference: should component update will check if you want to re-render the whole component. Internally what it does, it checks the previous value, it checks the current value. If both are not matching, it will re-render the whole component. Get derived state from props, it does not allow the user to re-render it. It is not related to re-rendering, but it is a method. As I was saying, it is a method which gets called exactly before the render method. So what you can do, the most better way to write something just before a render method is write something over here. So if you want to add some code right before you render something into the DOM, you can write it in get derived state from props. Should component update, it automatically checks if your current value and previous value is not matching, then it will update the DOM. Straightforward, simple. Let's go to our next lifecycle method. Let me just close this out. That is render. So render is called in both the phases, mounting and updating. Render, so basically whatever JSX you write, it will just take it, put it into the DOM. Then we have get snapshot before update. So now there is a very thin line before exactly it is being rendered into DOM and you start rendering. Very important sentence. The render method says that yes, this is the code, okay, and it tells React, yeah, this is the JavaScript or JSX code. You take this and put it into the DOM, but yet it is not deployed or it is not rendered into the DOM. Just before that, if you want to add something, you can write it in get snapshot before update. That is an important method. Let us just quickly click it and see, it is invoked right before the most recently rendered output is committed to the DOM. That is important, right? So there is a very thin line, or there is a very fraction of seconds between your actual renderation of DOM and when you start calling the render method, when you start rendering it. So it enables your component to capture some information from the DOM. The biggest example is we start scrolling, okay? So if you want some events to be added into that scroll position, if you want to capture that scroll position just before you start rendering your actual DOM, you can do that into this particular method, that is get snapshot before update. So it takes the snapshot of your DOM. That sentence is important, okay? You can remember it in this way. So exact position before you start rendering, it copies the exact position of your DOM, wherever it is, the scroll positions or your div positions, everything, heights, widths and everything, exactly how your DOM is looking, just it copies it and preserves it so that whenever the DOM is rendered, you can use that values. So you can do all those manipulations into this get snapshot before update method. Last but not the least is component did update. So once the component is updated, this method will be called. The same thing that we saw in a component did mount, the same thing will happen in component did update. It will automatically keep calling itself whenever the component is updating. To give you a simple example of this, so let's say that I have a button and I just add a simple event to this, change name. So I just added some code for you directly over here. So that we should not waste some time, I added just these 3 lines. I added a change name event, a small method, and a button. Okay, directly jump into the code. So whenever I add this, what I said, I changed my name from knowledge keen to Wasim. Just a small change. If you see over here, let me add the component did update method. Component similar to your component did mount. I'll just add component did update and component did update. Okay, I refresh this. I'll just remove all the other consoles so that our main focus goes to our component did update. Save, refresh. Any other method is getting called, render. That is important. So if I just click this, you can see the component did update is called. So the name changed from knowledge keen to Wasim, and the component did update is method is called, and the render method is called twice. So initial render, component did update, and another render. So the render you are seeing the 2 times. It is not calling 2 times, but the previous render, I'll just show it to you again. Let me refresh it. The first render, that is in the mounting phase, I clicked it, component did update is called, and then again the render is called. Okay, so this is how your render is being displayed. Let's see if we can just simply add this dot name to it so that we can see it in much clear way. This dot state dot name. So let's start it with here from the beginning. We have render knowledge keen. Again I click it. See the render Wasim, it is updated, and once the whole rendered is done, we get the component did update method. It is called again. So you see how the render is getting called with the updated values. That's I just wanted to show it to you. Our updating phase is done. Okay, mounting phase is done. Last but not the least is our unmounting phase. That is very important. Unmounting, we are just leaving the component. Unmounting, so it will just keep a track so that you can just do some cleaning of your code. So let's say that I have some 10-20 variables which I need to do a cleanup. So all that cleanup can, or whatever the cleanup code that you want to write, you can just write it in the component will unmount method. The way similar we can write, this is the way we usually write this method. Component did mount, component did update, and component will unmount. All the method will be something which is very similar. So this is the way the whole lifecycle architecture works. And there are some stale methods, or basically you can say that legacy methods. So legacy methods are nothing but you can still use them. If I add them here, they will still work, but you don't know when React is gonna remove them. So if you have these methods, if you're working on class-based components, and if you have these methods right now in your code, I would still suggest to remove or to move the logic from this method to some other method. So like component will mount usually gets called before your render method. You can just move your logic from there to get data straight from props. That would definitely work. So this is kind of a thing that you always should go and keep checking your React documents. Okay, that is very important, and as being a very popular library, it keeps its document quite updated. So whatever React is going to publish tomorrow itself, the complete page, the whole documentation would be updated. That's a very, very beautiful thing that React or any other big frameworks does, like Angular, Vue, React. They keep their documents updated. This is the whole lifecycle architecture. We have like set state, force update, some other class properties, but we are not diving into class based components. That's the reason we will not be seeing this. So I think we should stop over here. I have pretty much explained everything related to your lifecycle architecture. I hope it was interesting for you. You can ask me any question, I'll try to answer it as fast as possible. I hope you like this video, and last but not the least, keep subscribing and have fun learning. Thank you.